All right, Ken. What's
All right. Next up, Dan Formansky. I'm gonna
right?
Right.
pull up your
Okay, so these guys are one of the newest well, they're train makers. Yeah,
makers.
tell your story. Yeah.
That's our logo. We're just kind of working on it. It's still going
I
through
like it.
many edits, but we're sticking with the kind of factory. But you can go to the next one, Ken.
It's cool.
Thank you, Ken, for getting all this stuff set up. That's one of the super drop center flats. I let my son talk about that.
So originally I started with the Pensy car that you guys have probably seen before, but I wanted to step it up and make it more like the Queen Mary car that's displayed in Altoona that has 4-axle trucks. So I picked up some state car trucks, and I'm doing this one, and I'm doing another for a customer. So this one's going to go Penn Central, and then there'll be another one that'll be Pensy, just like the original Queen Mary drop center car. But we have them available.
The state car trucks are a little tough to find. Expensive, but
We'll probably work on our own trucks to continue from here. Yes.
okay. It's just a billboard. Sorry, I was going to edit that. Put some tape over the boobies there.
Looks good to me.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
That's just an example of one of the billboards. We still have those available. Getting more made if anybody's interested.
Will you accept art from people if they have their own art that they'd want?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, very nice.
We like to call these our mega craft stations. They're based on American Flyer type mini craft stations, but we have a couple of them. We could make more if anybody's interested. So.
Very nice.
All right, you can go next one. All right.
Yes.
And there's number one. That's going to be the first in our tin plate line.
Oh God, that's cool.
And that's going to be, it's Nap inspired. If anybody knows Nap 2 gauge. We actually got the original sitting behind us. So.
I love the sprung trucks.
Original.
But it's all laser cut. It's all CNC and then spot welded together. And ignore my early spot welds there because this hasn't been cleaned up yet. But.
Yeah, I can't wait to see a painted one.
Yeah, hopefully by Allentown, and it's just a couple weeks away. We're having one in Allentown.
Awesome.
There's a bobber caboose with some of CMT cars behind some CMT cars. There's still a few design changes to finish up and a couple things to change, but we'll have those available too.
Working on freight cars to go with them, including some sureties. So we'll have an 8-inch gon, an 8-inch flat car, a 6.5-inch gondola, and a 4-inch gondola with one truck, just like earlier Nat freight cars that had only one truck and were rather short. So.
Cool.
Nice.
Together.
Where they look.
Just ignore our workbenches; they get filled up fast.
Join the club.
Lastly, that should be a video. Them taking this.
Yeah, let's see it run.
There it is.
What you guys using for a motor?
It's actually a medium-sized USA drive.
Oh, cool. You got the David Parr wheels on it?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't realize, David, you were making those. You can just pop onto the D-gauge axles. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Really a great idea.
That's awesome, Dan.
Thank you. Well, we hope to have them available in all kinds of colors. And we're gonna use some. We were in Headings the other day and talking to him and looking at some of their paints. So they've been very helpful. I don't think they're on the call tonight, but
I use a lot of their paint. I'm using you're using steel, but make sure you use like an etching primer first, and then you can go straight over it with Henning's paint. It goes down really nice.
But yeah, Hennings has. We're going to try to use some like the early colors, lineup colors and Ives colors.
One thing I like
Jim?
about their paint
Actually,
is
Damn, brass looks nice by itself. I have, in fact, the exact same thing, which is NAP, but converted to standard gauge just in brass. It isn't so bad. So, of course, colors would look nice too.
Yeah.
And great work. Best of luck with that project.
Thank you.
What was the paint you used? I didn't hear you.
Oh, there wasn't any paint on there, but we were looking at Harry Hennings has I think they're called collector's colors.
Collector colors, yeah.
So it's all like the early line O and I's. The
I
colors
used
like
I used Hobby Horse paint on my Ives set with the etching primer, and that was the nicest paint I've ever used.
yeah.
Yeah, the one
And
thing
is that
I
available online or is that?
Yep.
one thing I like about the collector color is low VOC. It doesn't
Okay.
it does not stink, you know. So when I'm painting a lot of stuff, like I'm doing 2 4 and a 5 car set of green diamond streamliners, and it's a lot of painting. It's a lot of pieces, and I can load them up on boards and paint like 20 pieces, and I don't stink myself out of the basement. So
Oh,
to me,
I
that
couldn't
becomes
use it in the basement at all.
yeah.
Well, we finally finished our it's just our temporary paint booth, but it's a heated paint booth that we can actually walk into and use. So this
Nice.
winter's been slowing us down a bit with temperatures for painting.
Yeah, I have a.
You have a website?
No, just Facebook page. That's the only thing we have right now. We'll eventually get into a website probably. But you can find us on Facebook, Train Makers website. We're on all the standard gauge pages. But
They're pretty responsive, in private messenger.
yes. Yeah, Steve and I were just talking yesterday, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Jim, you're next.
He's making me drool.
Yeah.
I know. I
get,
like the short stuff. I can't wait to see the rest of the cars. It'd be great.
They're on
Yeah.
the way, so
Yeah, they're being cut as we speak, so.
Excellent.
I'm not quite as organized as the rest of you guys, but let me see what I can do. Are you seeing my screen?
Yep.
We are.
So first thing I wanted to do, talk F7s, and the cool thing about F7s is that every one of them is different. Every single order I've got is different. The bad thing about F7s is every single order I get is different, because you can imagine there's a lot of work to get the graphics together. So there's Steve Eastman's Canadian Pacifics, which I really like. Let's see, are you gonna let me?
Yeah.
There's Jeff's the one and only SP Black Widow scheme. It's a bit of work to do that one. I think Mark is on. Mark Frascioni this is his D&H set. We had that at York, and he took it on from there in the fall. I think Doug is on. Those are his they're the Lackawanna freight scheme, right next to the D&H F7s. Rich is Great Northern. There's 4 of these Great Northern F7s. Really pretty scheme. I'm pretty partial to that one too. A pair of Union Pacifics I did a couple of months ago. It went out west. You can see next to the Haynes engines that mine are scaled a little smaller intentionally to fit with a lot of the standard gauge freight and passenger cars. And these ones just shipped today. Norfolk and Western just finished those up. This is before I touched them up, so they're almost done. Front view. You can see the GG1 I finally built for myself over here. A better shot. And these guys, was pretty happy with these. Texas Special made them about a month ago, and I thought they came out rather nice, pretty spiffy. Just a couple of short videos show some of them running. So there's,
Jim, are those cast or are they 3D printed?
oh, they're all cast. The patterns were 3D printed, but they're aluminum. They're solid aluminum shells, single piece castings. The only thing that's 3D printed is the fans and the horns. Everything else is metal. And there's 2 motors in each. There's 4 motors here, and you know, we had a couple of sets at Fall York, and I love the way these run, and I love the way they pull. They really. Here's
That
the.
whole, yeah, the fan and smokestack set looks good on the Forney.
Oh yeah, I think the past them.
Every
Okay.
paint scheme looks great.
Yeah, so that's, let me, how do I go back? So those are the F7s. Let's see, where am I? The other thing I mentioned, I brought this guy to York. The Park Hudson is basically a replica of the Randall Hudson. Those of you that don't know the story, I'll repeat it. And for those of you that do, I'm sorry. That the Randall Hudson was a set of castings you could buy in the late 30s, and you had to machine the drivers, and you had to figure out your own drivetrain and a whole bit. So not a whole lot of them were sold, and not a whole lot of them were actually made it into finished engines. Just after World War II, some folks up in Minnesota found a set of the castings, and they decided to make new patterns to be able to make what they call the Park Railways Hudson. And those were made sporadically from like 1947 until like literally last year. It changed hands once. The guy named Jeff Ingebrigtsen, who's had them for many years, and he sold me the patterns I picked up at York last fall. Those patterns are now at the foundry, and they're starting to make castings for them. So I got enough parts to build 2 of these. There's another one I have in work that's sold. But I'm hoping to have all the castings. Well, I don't know, the foundry, they get them done when they get them done, you know, kind of thing. But within at least a couple of months, I'll be able to start making this engine. I've acquired the parts now. This one doesn't have all the valve gear on it. I've done the full Baker valve gear with a valve hanger here on both sides that will add the whole all that detail to the engine. I picked up a number of the drivers from the Lionel Hiawatha 2000 era Hiawatha, so I have enough to make 3 of them with those drivers. So I'll be doing the next one. Will be done with those drivers. So I picked up wheels and all that kind of stuff, and all the little stuff that needs to happen. And so, what the nice thing about this engine is, the drivetrain is a vertical can motor, which you can barely see here. It's got a little hole in the spoiler, which is cast all the way around. And then I have timing belts up inside the frame to drive the other 2 drivers. So it does not rely on power being transmitted through the side rod. So it runs really smooth. I should have included a video of that. But at any rate, I'm going to start making these. There's a top view of it. Front view and the back quarter. So like I say, I've ordered 6 sets of castings, and I'm gonna, like I say, I'm gonna start building these guys. I like the engine. It is not the perfect scale model of a Hudson, but it is, if you ever seen the Randalls, it's basically a Randall at 95% scale. So I'm very happy to be able to.
How big are they?
The engine, I just measured it. The engine's like 25.5 inches long. I think the tender is about 12 or so, maybe 14. So it's about 3 foot long end to end.
Okay.
You know, it's not it's not a, if you can see it compared to like some of the stuff in the background, it's not a standard scale. It's more of a, kind of a Lionel compatible scale size.
What's the pulling power? Would it actually pull the Randall cars?
Well, it was designed to do that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a big old slug of steel in here, and my expectation is it's going to pull. Yeah, it's going to pull. I got a few Randall cars. I'm going to make sure it pulls at least 4 Randall cars. I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have the tooling to make those. That would be very nice, but Mr. Thone made a bunch of them over the last 30 years, so they keep popping up. I actually picked up some kits that were never built from 1983. But yeah, that I think we'll make sure that it'll pull at least four of those cars.
The only reason I ask is because my Randall cars have got those plastic wheels, which they don't roll real easy. And
yeah,
if you ever dab in them, it would be nice to get different wheel sets on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of the ones I picked up have the same wheels on them, and I've been.
Yeah, I'm the aluminum CMT wheels go right on those. Swap them out, put aluminum wheels, turned aluminum wheels on.
That's the best suggestion of the night right there. His wheels, be silky smooth on there.
The smaller aluminum wheels, Dave.
The CMT wheels are the exact same size as the Randall wheels, and they slip right on the Randall axles.
One of the things I noticed, Jeff talking, right? Those big plastic wheels that Bob Thone used, they're on the cars I had, they're scaled narrow. The flanges are too narrow. They're too tight inside. They have big flanges on them, so you're going to have to put some washers on the inside of David's wheels in order to get the flanges out to just under 2.1 inches. Then they'll run really nice.
Yeah, I have no problem flanging them or spacing them out. I had no idea of what wheels to use, so I guess I got to get a hold of David and get some wheels ordered up.
I think those are they're cut to fit on a 3/16 axle, right, David?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Jeff, you've got quite a few the CMT cars, so try a set of wheels.
Yeah, there you go.
I will do that.
So anyway, that's keeping me busy, and my apologies to those guys who have asked me over the years, what are you doing about an F7B unit, and what are you doing about the T1? They'll be next. I'm just going to throw these up.
K4 in there too?
Yeah, matter of fact, Ryer, I gave him my first designer, the guy that did the GG1, actually started on the drivers for the K4. And so Ryer's first job for me is to design a nice big spoke driver with both sets of counterweights for the K4. So then the next thing is to try to get somebody to cast and machine them. He said he might try to do that, so which would be just awesome, because that's the thing that really sets me back. And the other thing, which I'm going to ask him to do, is to be able to design a core box for the K4, so I can cast it out of metal. I've got all the other parts that I can make up patterns for. I've got the tender trucks, the trailing truck, the steam chest, the K4 pilot, the whole bed, the boiler. So I got all the parts except for those drivers were hanging me up. I wanted to do a little bigger driver. It would be a bigger driver than the Lionel. It'd be like a 2.6 inch versus a 2.4 inch, which makes a huge difference in the look of the engine. So that's really what's held me up from going anywhere with the K4. But yeah, that's something else on the list. I'm showing the green diamond because I'm finishing a 5-car set. This is a 4, but I'm doing a 5-car set, which every car has a slightly different window pattern. The extra car that's not on this set has a different window arrangement than this one, similar to, if you look at the Jerry Brown green diamonds, they were all 5-car sets, and all the windows were different on each car. So this will be the first one that's done that way, and it will have the shrouds on all the wheel sets. I'll have that together probably in another week or so. All the pieces are painted and lettered now, so they just got to be put together. So that'll be sets number 13 or 14. So Jerry Brown, I got you beat. It's been a
For
lot
the
of fun.
shrouds on that, do you use the dark green?
The dark green, yeah.
Okay.
They're stainless steel, but I etch them up and paint them for this one. For the as you know, for the Zephyr, we just polish the stainless steel and throw them on.
Yeah, I know, but you got to throw them on.
You got to
Still
throw them on.
done that
Yeah, shame on you.
someday.
Okay, let's see here. Anyway, a couple more views of the green diamond, back end, and the nose. You know, I love the grill on this thing, which I made as a separate piece so I could paint it with the chrome paint and then install it. So, and let's see, what else do I got? Just a couple of fun things. This is something I did for myself. Some of you guys have seen this online. I always liked the Penske, what's called an X23 boxcar. It was wood, but with these formed metal struts on the outside that they bolted together. A very unique looking car. I have one in O gauge. It was hand painted. And this is actually what they call the R7 variant, a reefer made in the same body as the boxcar. I'm also going to. This is printed, 3D printed. I'm going to print the a copy of the X23 as well, just to have for myself. This one has the early, the Model Engineering Works arch bar trucks, which these early cars had. But I got some just some G gauge wheels that have ball bearings in the middle of them, so I've replaced his axles and wheels, which had very tight flanges on, very small scale flanges. So I'll bring this thing to York so we can run it around the layout with some of the Glen cars, and thanks to David Cars for providing me a metal underframe. So I got a machine underframe on it too. So look from the other way. And then finally, it's a picture of the city of Denver, the 4-car version. That unusually, I've only built about 4 of these. So I guess this is my green diamond. It's kind of like the inverse. Jerry Brown used the city of Denver nose to do the 4 green diamonds he did, and so I'm doing the opposite now. I built almost as many city of Denvers as he did, and only 4 of these. So it's kind of ironic. All right, so I think that's all I got for now. So thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so looking forward, I've learned some tricks from the foundry on how to make patterns, and I got to modify the CAD models I have for the F7B unit. So I want to get that one done in the near term, and then go back to the T1. The drivers need a little bit of work, and so do the patterns. Just from what I've learned from the GG1 and the F7s, there's a few little things you really got to do to get a fairly usable casting. Right out of the bat. It's a lot of work to take the casting and get it to what you see, which isn't perfect, but you just wouldn't believe what these things look like when I get them, and how much work it takes to clean up the castings. But it's a good way to get an all metal engine, right? At a low volume, where I'm only doing, like I think I'm coming up on 20 F7s and 15 GG1s. That's it. Every one of those shells takes hours and hours to grind and sand and paint and prime, sand and prime and paint. So it's a lot of work.
Hey, Jim,
Yeah.
these foundries you're working with, do they give you, do they work with you like a minimum amount, or will they do anything, or they say you have to make 100 of them?
No, I'm working with an outfit that's out in Hanover, PA. It's a little west of York, and they're a pretty small outfit. So I can do onesie twosies with them.
That's great.
And the guy that runs it is very helpful with helping you design the pattern to get a good part out. So they're they love what they do. They do mostly aluminum. I used to work with a foundry, an Amish foundry, that was near Strasbourg, and they were really primarily a cast iron house. a lot of industrial work, a lot of high volume stuff. And so when I bring the aluminum stuff in, they kind of look down and look around. You would eventually get some castings, but the biggest problem with castings is it's just taking forever to get them. You can't really rely on a time frame for them, So like with the park, until I saw that they were actually making me parts for the park, I didn't really want to talk that I was ready to build the engine, right? I got the patterns, I got some parts to play with, but they're actually making parts for me. I said, look, when you get them done, I'm running out and I'm gonna pick them up right away. Okay, yeah, okay. So
Hey, Jim, because I know you've got some of the DeHanes stuff, and maybe this is for David also. Any of you have trucks?
I actually reproduced a lot of the parts that go into the trucks.
Okay.
I've not looked to sell them separately, just because I got 50 car bodies that I got to need trucks, and there's a lot of parts. There's one particular like you got to bend it up. It's a small part. I'm still working on that one, but I got the side frames. I got the floating bolster. I've got tons of the castings for the bearing boxes.
That's what I need. At the show this weekend, one of my cars abruptly stopped and shorted, and somewhere it lost the bearing cover.
All right, if you send me a picture, tell me which one you need, because I've got a couple of different colors. I got them in black. I got them in like the chrome color. I got lots of those. So if that's all you need, have at it.
Yeah, let me when I unpack it, I'll take a picture of the truck, and you see the one is missing and the other one's there.
Yeah, they kind of peen in. Not the best design, but it's a good looking part. You can read like Timken on it and that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely gorgeous looking trucks.
Yeah. I do have two. If any of you are lucky enough to pick up the G gauge cars, I have the sheet metal bolsters, so you can reuse the side frames. David Cars also makes. I don't know whether you still have them, David. He made a one-piece machine part that's absolutely fabulous. It actually is it much improves the trucks because it's much heavier duty than the original sheet metal bolster. But I've got a whole crate full of the bolsters that tie the two side frames together side to side. So that makes it a lot easier to convert the cars from G gauge to standard gauge.
Okay. And you mentioned the other day when we were talking, I think you said it was David that was making like a latch cup or a tab coupler for the DeHanes.
Yeah, I'm David. You're still on, right? I was just mentioning that what you did with you got rid of the Haynes couplers and you just modified a tab coupler and bolted it onto the drawbar on your DeHanes.
Oh, yeah. Just a regular hook standard gauge hook coupler.
Okay. Are they available?
No, that's just something you make. You get a hook coupler and you cut it down, you file it down, drill a couple holes.
Okay. Any chance of getting a picture of it? Because obviously the knuckle couplers that came with these things are they're and I have a mixture of the operating ones and dummy ones.
Oh, there's a whole variety. I did a whole page in the book on DeHanes couplers. There, he kept trying different things and none of them worked. So
yeah,
and I got a ton of those too.
They also convert rather nicely if you're into them. There's a G scale KD coupler that converts very easily onto that shank and gives you the knuckle coupler if that's your cup of tea.
Yeah, no, I'm a toy train guy.
Being a modern era guy, I just go with the hook coupler.
Yeah, it's like Jim knows on the stuff I've been buying. I prefer the tab coupler to the latch couplers.
They hook in and they stay hooked.
Yeah.
Yes. So you don't get a unlatch in the middle of running during the show like we did
Exactly. Yeah.
multiple times.
You
Yeah.
know what, Steve, I guess I'm gonna have to beg forgiveness. I forgot about that on this set that you're getting. To put the tab couplers on.
Well, well, at least it's not a full passenger set.
Yeah, right.
So it's only need 2 couplers for the engines, and I got those.
Yeah, or just the one if you're gonna run them in a pair, right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
we're good.
I might even have one left over. I just didn't. It didn't even cross my mind.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
when you do this, do my other 3 engines, remember what coupler I prefer.
Yep. You want them. You want them in between the engines too, right?
Yeah. It just makes it simpler.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right.
I've been
Yeah.
putting the Lionel combination coupler, which is their transition standard gauge coupler that's a latch coupler, but with the slot for the hook coupler in it.
Right.
I've been putting them on my Forney GPs that I'm making, but you can't get them anymore. I talked with Harry Hennings, and he says MTH has the tooling for that, and they're not making them. So until they decide to make some, which is not in the horizon, there's a shortage of those. So if anybody comes across a cache of those combination couplers, I'd be interested.
Hey,
Look on the Train's website and their parts listing. They were listing like a bulk 100 packs of those things.
Not right now.
Oh, because they were unfinished. They were just like the halves.
Well, they have some that are just the shank without the parts.
Yeah.
On it. They're not functional.
Yeah.
Somebody's junk box they're selling for.
Okay, well, Jeff, I'm not going to be giving you any more of mine now.
They're
I thought that
they're a rare item right now.
I thought Mania has all the coupler tooling.
No, I checked with him. He doesn't make them either.
Oh, son of a gun! Huh. That's probably the only coupler he doesn't make. He makes all the
Yeah.
oddballs.
Yeah. Of course, what it is if you look at it carefully, it's actually a little piece that's welded on the bottom of the regular latch coupler.
Oh, no kidding.
So maybe I could get some water jets, the little pieces with the slot in them, and spot weld them on the bottom of some Lionel couplers. But you know,
make the slot a little wider.
Everything else.
Make the slot wider, yeah.
Yeah, because the last few that I've bought, the tabs are not going in the slots on the universal coupler.
Yeah, that's very common.
In fact, on all the Forney, when you saw the video of my Forney running at the show this weekend, each one of those couplers has a little notch ground into the corner.
Yeah, that's very common.
So that I can slide it in. Yeah.
Hey, David, you just mentioned Forney GP7s. Did you want to spill the beans on that one?
Well, with Jim's help, I was able to reconstruct the Glenn power truck, which Forney used in his GP7 or whatever it was. Kind of a big boxy tin plate looking locomotive, but it pulls pretty well. So I think we've got most of the pieces together, and I'm going to try to make a few of them. They'll be ready to look at April York.
Okay. Well, I definitely would be interested because you're going to do the long one, right, Dave?
It doesn't have anywhere near the detail or the character of the Fermansky GP, which is more of a scale and is really quite spectacular.
Thank you, Dave.
This thing is just a couple pieces of folded tin, but that's the way Red Forney did it, and he put the Glen trucks under it.
Yeah.
The one thing I like about the ones you showed me is you went with the round cap roof, which is the GP7 look instead of that kind of kinky looking thing, that's kind of bent up and over top.
Yeah, Forney made him with the angular roof, which actually was the GP 38 and 40, which was a much different looking body. So it kind of fit. But yeah, the curved roof was on the GP7, which is what this looks most like a GP7 if you make the translation to tin plate with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it much improved the look of it. So
Yeah,
you guys,
because
look
mine's
forward-
got the angular roof, and the other shell I have, I gave to Jeff, and he's going to make the rounded roof on his because he has to make the roof anyway.
Hey, Ken, did you get those pictures I sent on an email of my Forney project? I sent it a little bit ago.
Oh, like what? Since we've been on?
Yes.
Oh, give me a second. I will.
yeah, those two bodies. I guess Steve, you bought those from James Hall, right?
I bought them on eBay, so
Yeah, they were. It's
I
funny.
think they were out of that collection. Yes.
You told me about the parts coming up on eBay, and I looked at them, and I contacted the guy selling it, and it was in fact James Hall, who was the
Okay.
last owner of Forney before David Cars.
Okay.
So after that, David got in touch with James and went and bought the caboodle of what was left. So it's funny how these things go. Like I just picked up the park stuff. I bought the Harmon stuff from Bob Thone. I bought the Lee Line stuff from a fellow in Florida who bought it from Dana Barlow. It's funny how this stuff just kind of shows up.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the one I gave to Jeff.
It should look a lot better than the pictures I first sent you, Jim. But the wheel sets are fitted to it. The bottom's fitted. I welded and had to create and put a front corner piece and got that finished in tin. Since I don't have a welder, I'm having to use JB Weld, so forgive me.
Why not? Yeah.
And I prototyped a rounded roof, so it's got like 2 slots and then a T in the middle, and that whole roof will just slide on.
Okay.
So any suggestions? I'm guessing that looks right for the.
Yeah, a little bit too much overhang, but yeah, it looks right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd cut it down on both the length and the width. Just
because that one there that I gave, the one that I kept had all of the body parts. The one I gave to Jeff was missing the top of the hood, and I don't remember if it was missing the same angular piece on the back of the hood, and then the roof.
No, it was missing the front completely. The back was really rusted and corroded. I set that whole thing in the rust that rust away stuff for like a day and a half, and it cleared it up.
Wow.
And the same with the shell, and then just started grinding and cleaning. So, and I made the front piece, and then I actually bought a bench grinder and was able to sand all the flanges smooth, so where they meet up and it looks nice. So this is just the prototype in cardboard for the roof, but that's where I'm at.
Looks great. I mean, I like the power trucks you put underneath it too.
I bet you did. So
I know some guy that makes that stuff.
Yeah. So my plans are to then put TMCC in this and hide the antenna under the little vents. And I should have enough antenna space on the plastic vents, cut it in half that you use on the Fs.
Okay.
And with the TMCC, the sound, and then paint it up and obviously get the roof done first. And my intent is to do the earlier version, so the frame will be black, roof will be black. It'll be the light blue for the Pacific Harbor line, but my safety stripes will do it white, like zebra style, on the nose, front and back, instead of on the frame.
Yeah, his is actually not going to be Pacific Harbor like mine. His is going to be Harbor Belt.
Okay.
Because they same company, and I can find pictures of both of them.
What's really cool is that there were very, very, very few of these shorty Forney Jeeps ever built. David probably knows the numbers, right? I think we only know of a couple of others that exist, right?
Yeah, there's like, I think 4 altogether. I just got one from Russ McFall. So they turn up once in a while, but I think there's only 3 or 4 of them.
Well, we got 2 of them out here on the West Coast.
Wow.
So like I said, I wanted to show the picture and get your ideas so I'll trim up that roof a little bit. And on the corners, should I round those corners on the roof, or should I leave them square like that? You know, not,
I would round them like a tight radius down towards,
yeah,
so
a little bit.
best you can. Yeah, I mean it's tough to do that, especially right on the edge, right?
Well, I figure if I mark it very carefully, with like a Sharpie, once I get it in the steel, and then take it to the bench my belt sander, and then just pivot it on the table, I should be able to get all four corners relatively close, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the belt sander comes in handy for taking down dimensions if you don't have a machine shop.
Nope, that's as deluxe as it gets around my place.
Yeah, there you go.
It takes it off fast though too.
Yeah, I'll be real careful.
Metal, yeah, awesome. Great show. Can't wait to see the thing finished. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Do we have a contact for James Hall, Colleen Hall?
I don't know, David. Have you had any contact with him lately?
Yeah, he was recovering from cancer, but it's come back on again. He's been living in a cabin down in Virginia, mining amethyst. So he's not really very accessible. Ken, I just emailed you some pictures of the Forney GPs, since these guys seem to be interested in what the round roof might look like. I don't know if they've come through to you yet.
Not yet, but give me a second.
Yeah, sometimes email takes a minute.
There we go. Let me see the best way to do this. Maybe I can share this.
These are all the new water jet parts that I'm putting together and putting the Glen trucks under.
Curious, David, you didn't do any tabs, did you?
Nope.
Can you guys see that? Is that all right?
Yeah.
The center one is the short one that I got from Russ McFall, but oh shoot, no, that top one's not right. That's not one I built. I can't see what I'm doing here. The bottom of Minneapolis and St. Louis is one I built. Let me find some more here of the ones I actually built.
That's a big help, Dave.
That Minneapolis St. Paul is the ones I'm building, but I've got more.
Very cool.
Isn't that beautiful?
I love it.
Hang on here.
You have the way the roof is very little side front to back overhang and very little side overhang on the roof. If you
guys were looking at the roof, so
if you look at the real one, like the Lionel one, there really isn't. It's just basically a rain gutter up there.
Yeah, I figured that.
Separates
I
the
wanted
side
to
and the round.
Yeah, I wanted to get everybody else to look at it and tell me, hey, trim it up, do this or whatever.
Okay, here's a couple more for you, Ken, but they don't have the power trucks under them yet. They're just the bodies, but they're the ones that I'm making with the
I like the colors of the Minneapolis St. Louis. That came out really nice.
Yeah, I did. I like that. It's an odd one you don't see very much.
David, the one you did in C&O. That was my first train, the Lionel one.
That's what people are telling me about this Minneapolis and St. Louis, is that's actually a pre-war color scheme.
I thought it was post-war.
Yeah, like late 50s.
Oh, post-war. Yeah.
Yeah, late 50s, but yeah, not the.
That may or may not be actually prototypical, but it's.
Where'd you go?
They did a lot of Minneapolis, St. Louis. It
really
wasn't a real big railroad, but they're very colorful. The real ones.
Yeah.
Some really colorful trains. Yeah, so I think it might be pretty close.
Huh.
That blue roof. I think that they might have actually done that.
I think it looks very close to the post-war.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it there, Ken. I don't know.
I just lost the other email you sent. I don't know what happened to it. So wonder if it wound up in spam somehow. Doesn't look like it. Which email did you send it to? The Yahoo one?
The one that you just sent us for this.
Yeah. I can't find the one. Yeah, I was just yelling. I don't know what happened.
Okay, let me
It
try.
accidentally hit. Yeah, try it again.
Let me try again here.
Bigger hammer.
Here's the reply. Okay, now
I'm reading your inbox, Ken. I realize we never told the folks that the Glen cars are $300 each.
Yep.
Is that what you decided on?
Yeah. And we talked about, your take too. So, you and I, so. Yeah.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they turned out to be, if you liked the tank cars, these are more so.
Ridiculous.
Well, the ones that you make that aren't going to be SGMA, will you be doing larger production quantities on those?
Well, no, by definition, the Sigma order is 50 of them. So I'm not going to make 50 of.
I see. Okay. All right.
Of any one other Herald.
Yeah, I really like that UP. So if there's anything left over.
Oh, I'm probably okay. There it is again, Ken. I just sent it off again.
Okay.
I'm probably not.
If it comes up, I'll bring it up.
I'm probably not going to do the pacemaker or UP because those are the Sigma cars. I'm not going to duplicate them. That's not fair to Sigma.
Well, I realize that, but that's what I meant.
If you want that one, you need to get the Sigma car.
No, I realize that, but based on what Jim said, I wasn't sure there might be any left over after
if you're
the
interested,
active members get them.
So, Joe, if you're interested, send a note into Ken.
Oh,
okay.
Get on.
Well, if we haven't made enough for membership demand, then I would imagine you talk to Sigma and we make some more.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I'd really like to see an SP car in that too, Southern Pacific.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, Ken, I
And
just
there's the
sent you
engine
a photo picture of my Forney Jeep.
Okay. David, was this the set or the picture or this one?
Yep. 1, 2, 3. No, one. Poof. Yeah. There you go. Hey, that's the three of them.
That helps a lot, David. Thank you.
So I don't have the Glen trucks under those yet, but that's the general gist of what these things are look like. I say they're if you want a really nice GP, talk to the Fermanskys.
I already have one of those coming.
Hey, Dan and Danny, you guys didn't talk about whether you got any of those left. Are you going to continue to offer those?
We're kind of, I'm with Steve's, and I got 2 more to build after that, and possibly another one ordered. I have to kind of look at my parts and see what I'd have to make. I just realized today that uses up the last of my fuel tanks. But most of the parts I can make if I need to, if somebody wanted to. I still have plenty of probably 50 cabs.
Oh, there you go.
But it's the long hoods. It's the long hoods that we only have another 4, maybe 5.
Probably 5.
After those 4 are built.
Oh.
So
will those bobber be illuminated?
We had talked about it. We have to figure out a pickup roller and put a light in it. We want to probably eventually do some versions that have a little smoker in there and a little smokestack. Okay. Just a little whimsical stuff,
Yeah, it's neat.
Look at that.
Steve, is that the one?
Yep. And Jeff's will look almost like that, except his will be numbered 102, and it'll be Harbor Belt Lines instead of Pacific Harbor Lines. Those 2 companies merged, and I can find photographs of, obviously not prototypical that style, but I can show you a GP in those colors for both road names.
The railroad itself is pretty neat because it's not very long, but basically any container or freight that goes out to the ports and inland, they pull them from the ports, to the drop-off point, and then the major railroads pick them up from there.
Right. It's
Trains-
still a very active line.
Trains magazine had a feature story about them not too many months or years ago.
Right. I saw that.
Fascinating story. I mean, they have a lot of track, but they don't have a lot of route miles, you know?
No, they're only about 16 miles long and roughly 100 miles of track or something like that in that area. And their early locomotives are the most interesting ones because they just bought used locomotives and they repainted them in the original colors. So if you had a Milwaukee Road, it was in Milwaukee colors. If you had a UP, it was in UP. You have New York Central, it's black with the cross stripes, but then it still says Pacific Harbor Lines.
That's cool.
And in fact, the one that Fermanskys are building for me, that I have pictures of, is the Southern Pacific with the Pacific Harbor Line's name on it.
That's cool.
It was in the Black Widow paint scheme, but it does say Pacific Harbor Lines.
Neat.
And that, so yeah, if you look at the history of this company, if you can find any pictures of their diesels, they're real interesting. All like just tons of different color combinations. Interesting line.
Hey, Ken, I just emailed you a picture of Dan's GP9 that we took at Winterthur.
Okay.
That the Pensy one?
Yeah, it was Kirk's.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there with you guys for the break-in of the engine.
We didn't break it. We tried.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good looking.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, these things survived.
Oh, and that's without the railings on it.
Yeah.
Dan puts railings on them too.
Yeah, I guess the USA Trains rails fit right on the perfect fit on this engine.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know whether Dan, you got a picture of one with the railings on it? But the shame of it is that the Haynes went to all this trouble to make these things up. They might have built one or two engines, and then they had that fire.
Yeah.
And all the parts that Dan's got were stuff that was rescued from the fire.
Do you know if their original intent was to do these in G gauge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That would have been my guess. Yeah.
There was actually two separate versions of the frame that he was working on. There was one version like the Lionel post-war version that had swinging pilots, and then there was these guys that had the pilots already on there and everything. So.
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
One of the things I was learned about the Haynes, he was constantly changing stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know, just
there's like 12 different versions of everything.
Yeah. I mean, I got boxes full of like passenger car frames, and I have all different configurations on them, all kind of crazy stuff. One of them, the lights were actually on poles that came up from the base of the frame and had a light on top, and they would just put all the wiring would be on the base, and they just snap it into the body and done. No internal wires. The power came right up from the truck to these little posts, and that was it.
Oh yeah, I saw some of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the book. Somebody designed that for him. Not John Harmon, but somebody else with a name that we know designed that for him, and then he ended up not using it on most of them.
Yeah, I think it was a late in his design evolution. So he had this thing, this crazy, this like two-piece latch that I've got a whole bunch of of frames for the passenger cars. They got these rectangular holes cut in them, and there was a part that bolted to the frame, and there was another part that was on the truck that would just like hinge in, and then one screw to attach it. All was done, through around this rectangular hole. So I ended up for the cars I'm building. I had a bunch of aluminum plates made up of the right thickness with 4 holes in it, and I just attached those to the overall car frame, so I can mount my trucks. It has the little angular slots in it for the tabs and all that stuff. But mainly
these guys kept changing their designs. I find that with the Glenn cars that I'm trying to reproduce, Glenn, I don't know, any two of his cars are the same. He kept changing the way he built them and how he put them together. So if you're going to reproduce them, you kind of have to pick one of those and decide that that's the one you're going to go with.
And I think that was the case with most of the modern stuff. Maybe short of McCoy, they seemed to get a design and they made 8 billion of them.
Yeah, speaking of McCoy, I really liked those that steam chest that you made, David. It came out nice. I haven't had a chance to put it on yet, but nice job.
Yeah, those are turning them out of aluminum and milling them out of aluminum is a little bit more precise than those slush castings.
Right.
Hopefully they'll last longer too.
They last longer. The rest of the engine will be in the bucket, and then there'll be that beautiful steam chest left.
Yeah.
You still have those parts, David?
Yep. Yep. If anybody has McCoys that are or other things. I mean, Norm was using them, building some of his steam engines and from scratch, and I think they'd go on a number 6 or other engines that needed repairs.
Yeah, good idea.
It's a beautiful part. And you did the E2, the McCoy E2 side frames too, right?
The ones that warp, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or actually, he did the ones that didn't work.
The ones that didn't work. Yeah, right, exactly. And did you also do the motor mounts for the E2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, motor hangers. Yeah.
Motor hangers, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Built out of aluminum.